Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Melinda Bates was the former special assistant to President Bill Clinton, and she joins us now to tell us about life in the White House. But Melinda, your first meeting with Bill Clinton occurred when you were just 18. So what was your initial impression of the future president?
I'm delighted to be with you, Karl. I met him when we were both freshmen at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and my first impression was, this is an astonishing person who's going to be something really important with his life, and I cannot wait to see what that will be.
In the intervening period between student life and becoming the director of the White House Visitor's Office, what career path had you followed?
I became an exhibition supervisor at our National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., where on my first day on the job, I met Charles and Diana, Prince and Princess of Wales, with whom I had a conversation, and then said to myself, visitor services is my career path. So it was.
Talk to us about the immediate aftermath of the presidential election in 1992 and how you researched potential roles in the White House that matched your own experience.
I had not imagined during the campaign that there was a position that I would be suitable for in the White House itself, because I assumed, as I think many people do, that surely everyone at the White House must be a foreign or domestic policy expert or a numbers cruncher or probably a lawyer, and I am not any of those things. But I went to a library in the dark days before the interwebs, and I found a book, and in that book was a list of jobs with the Executive Office of the President. One of them was Director, White House Visitors Office, and a light bulb went off, and I said, that's the job for me.
So what can you tell us about your role within the White House Visitor's Office and what you were responsible for on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, the Visitor's Office is responsible for coordinating tours at the request of members of Congress. So they are our constituents, so to speak. We didn't really work directly with the public. But also we were responsible for the larger events, particularly the outdoor events. So the annual White House Easter egg roll, a little event for 30,000 people on the South Lawn on Easter Monday, that was us. But also presidential birthday parties on the lawn and concerts and July 4th, fireworks viewing and that kind of thing.
Of course, the White House tours were very important, particularly for the members of Congress.
Oh, you have no idea. I once had a wife of a member of Congress come and sit in my office and say to me, I don't think you understand, Melinda. Access to these tours is more important to my husband's re-election than any talk he will ever give.
You undoubtedly met many celebrities during your 8 years in the White House, but what were the particular highlights during that period?
I especially enjoyed getting to know Tom Hanks, who I met by giving him a private tour one Saturday morning. And when we ended the tour, we were on the ground floor, and I could hear that the president was coming in through the diplomatic reception room. So I said to Tom, just wait here. We were in the China room. Just wait here for a moment. And I went over and I saw the president coming into the house from golf and said to him, Mr. President, Tom Hanks is in the other room if you'd like to meet him. He said, oh, yes, he would. Well, they did, and they became friends forever, and that was very, very nice. And then I once had lunch with Michael Douglas, and that was pretty special as well.
Talk to us about your memoir, White House Story, and some of the stories which you share in it.
My memoir is available on Amazon, especially in a Kindle version, very easy for anyone to get. And it's my own story of how I got there, what it's like to be there, how things work, what happens when things don't work the way you have so carefully planned, who comes to visit. My particular favorite day, in the morning, the beautiful and elegant former Queen of Greece, and in the afternoon, the Grateful Dead.
The Clinton presidency was a very memorable tenure, both for the charisma which the Clintons displayed and some of the controversies which ensued. In terms of how Bill Clinton approached his presidency, what stood out to you?
Both of the Clintons are devoted heart and soul to making people's lives better. That is the sole focus of what they do. What can we do to make people's lives better? And so when I saw Hillary for the first time in the week, she would actually say to me, Melinda, what are you doing today to make people's lives better? Because we only have a short time. We know we have 4 years. We hope we have 8. But it's not a lot of time to accomplish big things for people, and we need to accomplish big things.
And in terms of approaching and accomplishing big things, what was Bill Clinton's approach to solving problems?
He was able to triangulate. He was able to find deals where highly partisan people would have said, it's not possible to find a deal here. He was able to make deals with people who he probably didn't like very much and who we knew didn't like us very much. But he was working on behalf of the American people, and he was willing to put aside some things in order to get to where he wanted to go. And the end result of that was that at the end of the Clinton administration, if Al Gore had become president and our policies had continued, we were on track for the first time in modern history to have a surplus.
Of course, a true leader really shows their qualities in the tougher times. So how did President Clinton handle the controversies which occurred during his 8-year reign?
You may call them controversies, and I don't wish to minimize what has happened in Ireland over the last decades, but in the White House we referred to that time as the Troubles. And it was a horrible time. It was very difficult. The president was hugely embarrassed. We were hugely embarrassed. It was really difficult. But as I kept reminding my staff, we were not there to get upset. We were there to serve the American people. We needed to put our heads down. We needed to work and do our jobs to the best of our ability. And that's what we always tried to do.
And during that period, how did President Clinton communicate with the staff?
Very little. He didn't want to look us in the eye, and we didn't want to look at him.
Ireland and Northern Ireland appeared to be particularly important to both President Clinton and Hillary during and after the presidency. Were you aware of this during your time in the White House and just how important it was to them?
We were keenly aware of that. Their trip was very important to them, and I will never forget talking to a staff member who had gone with them, a person who traveled on many presidential trips, and who, honestly, the people that were on that trip, their feet did not touch the ground at the White House for a week after they returned from Ireland and Northern Ireland. They said the welcome the Clintons received from the Irish people was unlike anything they had ever experienced anywhere in the world, and the Clintons would never forget it. The staff who supported them would never forget it, and I think the people of Ireland and Northern Ireland have not forgotten it either.
And of course, the Irish get a great reception in the White House every St. Patrick's Day.
There's always a celebration because every American president wants the American public to know that he has some connection to Ireland. It's very, very important.
And why is it really so important?
Because of the enormous Irish American population in America. The Irish came over, and I think there's more Irish Americans in America than there are Irish in Ireland or Northern Ireland. And they are a huge part of our economy, our culture, our lives, very important part of our country.
Talk to us about what goes on behind the pillars of the White House.
Okay, there are about 100 people who work, non-political person, who work on the house itself. It's a staff of butlers, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, executive chefs, pastry chefs, all the people who are needed to make the house run and take care of the family. And they are supervised and run by a small group of people you never heard of, the most important people in the White House. I talk about them in my book, the White House ushers. They run everything non-politically. And then there are people like me who are political in nature. I was a political appointee. I arrived with the Clintons and I departed with the Clintons.
President Clinton famously said to you on your last day in the White House, "This has been one hell of a ride." But when you look back at this time of your life, what was your lasting impression of your time in the White House?
When I left the White House, I expected to miss quite a lot of it, and I did. I missed the excitement. I missed the adventure. What I had not anticipated was how much I missed going to work every day, knowing that what I did was making a difference in people's lives. I had not realized that is an addicting habit, to know that, okay, I'm exhausted, I don't know if I can go on anymore, but I have to keep going because I'm making a difference today in somebody's life. I missed that so much when we left.
Talk to me about your career since you left the White House back in 2001.
I slept for 11 months. Can you believe it? That's how tired I was. I slept for 11 months. Then I was briefly in the technology world. Then I went to work for Washington's premier event firm. But I will confess it was difficult to get excited about some corporation's choice of dinner table napkins or flowers when you've done that at the White House. I then wrote a book, and then I did a lot of national and international press about the book, White House Story. And then somebody referred me to Celebrity Cruises, and I, thanks to their generosity, I have been speaking on beautiful celebrity vessels and Viking Ocean cruises and Crystal Cruise Lines vessels for the last 13 years. And it is so exciting. I get to share all my same stories with people who have never heard them before and who clearly enjoy them very much.
And what are the key questions that you're asked by these different audiences around the world?
I'm often asked what was my most memorable experience. It's July 1995. It's Washington in July, so it's 1,100 degrees outside. And we've just finished getting 14,000 people into the gates to sit on the lawn, drink sodas, eat ice cream, listen to the Marine Band play, and soon the fireworks will go off. I'm now standing in the Blue Room waiting for the president to come down and make remarks. And because he is Bill Clinton, he's running a little late, because he was always running a little late. And I'm getting nervous. So I go over to the phone in the usher's office and call upstairs, Mr. President, are you coming down shortly? Because everyone wants to hear your remarks, but the fireworks are going to start. And he says, yes, I'm coming. He sounds very distracted. So a few minutes later, ding, the elevator opens and he comes into the room. He's casually dressed because it's July 4th, khakis and a polo shirt. He's holding in his hands a long strip of paper with colorful images on. I don't know what they are. I don't care what they are. It's just, Mr. President, please head to the microphone. No, he said, Melinda, look at this. Okay, what am I looking at, Mr. President? The first photographs from Mars. So the photographs have gone from Mars to NASA, from NASA to the White House Science Advisor, from the White House Science Advisor to the President of the United States, who's showing them to me. And the next day, those photos were on the front page of every newspaper, magazine, media program, but I had seen them first in the hands of the president.
And when it comes to speech writing, how involved was President Clinton in writing his own speeches?
Oh, very much involved. But every good speechwriter is good because he or she understands the president's particular voice.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Melinda Bates, the former special assistant to President Bill Clinton, and it was interesting to get a rare insight into life within the White House.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.